Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. We're going to begin the next operation for our hardtail vise. And the next step that I'm going to take is we need to get the two holes drilled and tapped here for our hard jaw to bolt onto. So we got our sample here and you can see the two holes drilled and tapped there. That's what we got to put in there so that we can take our hard jaw and actually get it bolted in place. So this poses a slight bit of a challenge for really anybody that's going to be doing this. And I've been trying to kick around the best way to get this done. I think probably one of the simplest ways to be able to do this is if you have a right angle attachment for your milling machine, which I don't. I don't have one. I actually looked into maybe buying one. And I could certainly purchase one that'll fit on my do-all milling machine. That's like a Bridgeport clone, R8 spindle. So you can get right angle heads for that milling machine for relatively inexpensive. I think they were right around maybe $400 or $500. I've never had one, never really had the need for one. I guess if I did have one, we would probably find more uses for it. But what I decided to do is instead of buying a right angle attachment for the other mill, let's see if we can make the Kearney and Trekker do what we want to do using its horizontal spindle. So the challenge there is if you're going to set this up over the Kearney and Trekker, by the way, we're going to break that down in a little bit. We'll remove that vertical head. You see how that'll get done so that we can start getting this set up. But what I was saying is that because of the way this part is shaped and the face that you got to machine is so far away from the end of the workpiece there, you have this distance that you have to gap. Horizontal bore mill would be a perfect machine for this application right here because you have a spindle that has a lot of travel. You could put a drill chuck in the spindle and come right on up here and get that drilled, no problem. On the milling machine though, we're going to have a fixed tool in the spindle and we'll have to use the table to feed the workpiece into the cutter to do that. So it's a little bit of a challenge to do that because you're hand feeding it and that's not an operation that a lot of people typically do, so you got to be a little careful there that you don't overfeed it or, run into something, things like that. It's also going to be on the opposite side of where I'm going to be standing. So we might even set up a mirror or something so that I can see the drill whenever it's cutting. So that's the plan. We're going to use the Kearney and Trekker. And you're probably wondering, well, what kind of cutters are you going to use to be able to do that? Well, I've got a couple here on the bench that I've been gathering up. I thought that I had everything that I needed already here in my shop to get the job done. But one of them, the extension, really quite isn't what I need to use. So I made an order today over KBC Tools to get another extension that I think is going to work, and it should be here tomorrow. So that's my plan, is possibly getting all this set up today and get it ready, and then hopefully tomorrow sometime FedEx will show up with my extension and we can go ahead and get this part drilled. So let me grab my tools over there on the bench. I'm going to show you my plan for getting this drilled and tapped. So these are the tools that I think that we can use to make this job happen. So we'll start by the 50 taper adapter for the milling machine. This has a number 4 Morse taper bore there. So you can take any Morse taper drill chuck or drill and directly mount it into this holder and put it into the horizontal spindle. And there you have a drill right off the bat. Okay, but it's going to be back here at the end of the casting. So we have all this gap right here that we got to take up. That's where an extension socket comes into play. This is one that I have. I've actually got two. This other one, this is one that we've had in my shop for years too, but it is in terrible condition. In fact, the Morse taper isn't even right. It doesn't, if you put this drill in there, it just doesn't, it does not fit the taper like it's supposed to. All right, so I don't know where this tool come from, but it's always been in our shop and we used it. But a lot of times when we were using this stuff, it wasn't any kind of drilling, critical drilling operation we were doing. We were simply just trying to get a hole in something to establish a bore, or we were drilling a shaft out of a rotor or something like that. That's why we've got this this long extension here. It was actually modified. It was turned down so that it would, whatever size drill we were using, we could go all the way up in there like that and have clearance for a long bore. So we've done a lot of that stuff over the years in our big lathe where we had to drill way up inside something. But what I was getting at was with this socket extension here. You mount that in there, right? And then you have your drill mounted over here on this end. And there you have a long 50 taper extension to get out there and drill that. But this is a little bit ridiculous. It's a little bit too long. And for this to be spinning out there, and this doesn't run 100% true either, I just felt like this is not the right extension that I need to use to do this job. So I found some on the KBC website. They weren't too expensive. They're going to look like this right here. So it's just a standard extension. So you have about 5.5 inches. So what I did was I ordered 2 like this that you can stack together. So with 2 of these together and the drill chuck, we should be right about the same, the correct length that we need to get this done. So that's my plan for the drilling and tapping action anyway. We'll drill it and then we'll hand tap it. We'll put a spring center in here and a tap and just hand tap it whenever we get to that point. All right, so that is the plan of attack. So we'll go over to the K&T, start getting the vertical head taken off the mill and start getting our jaw set back up and get it indicated. It's been a pretty good while since we've shown or talked about this on a video, so I thought I would briefly mention it for those that aren't aware. This is a vertical milling attachment for the kearney and trekker. You can bolt it on there to have a vertical spindle anytime you want it. You can rotate this as well. You can see your graduations here, so you can swivel it. And we could technically probably use this to do our drilling the way we want and then have the vise jaw mounted this way. But the problem with swinging this all the way up 90 degrees is that I just don't think that the mill table and the workpiece is going to be up high enough in order to be able to utilize this in a 90-degree orientation. The other reason, I really don't want to crack this loose and move it because this thing is bumped true and indicated for perfect vertical mill in there. So I'd rather not rotate this thing and move it. I think I want to go with the horizontal setup. So we're going to be using the spindle that's up inside here, and our cutter's going to be hanging out that way. All right, so I just want to mention that. You got 3 bolts right here on each side. You loosen those up. And then this guy up here is what they call the parking attachment. That's Kearney and Trekker calls these parking attachments. And this is one that I built. It was missing for the mill whenever I had acquired this. And I've got a series, an old playlist on my YouTube channel where we built all of these components. And there was some friends of mine actually had one. They sent it to me so that I could copy it. And I did. We made one. I sent it back to them. And this thing has been working perfectly ever since. So a good playlist to check this out probably, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago maybe. That's probably about how long it's been. So anyway, we'll get these loosened up and you basically just kind of slide it off and then pull it around here and it just hangs right here whenever you're not using it. Some of the mills, there'll be a few guys mention this. Some of these Kearney and Trekkers actually have the arbor supports, a couple of them mounted right here. So when you swing this around here, you actually stick it on there and that kind of helps hold the weight of that. This mill was not equipped with that. It's made to just hang here on this parking attachment when you're not using it. And there's guys that think that that's dangerous, that it'll break and fall off, but I got total confidence that this screw that I made is not gonna just snap in two from static weight hanging on it. It's just going to hang here forever until we mount it back on the machine. So anyway, let's go ahead and get this guy off out of here. All right, we'll see if it'll drop off there. It's actually sitting on the 2 overarms up on the top. I think it hangs on them about 3/4 of an inch or so. If you keep it straight, it should just slide off there. It's just kind of rocking at this point. There it is. All right, it's off now. Just like that. Now this part can get a little bit tricky because this arm right here needs to swing around into this slot. All right, I think I know what it is. Need to loosen up that bottom nut there. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, like that. And then what you do is well, my example is not working very well for video right now, but you just lock that one in place and that just keeps it in that bracket. And you just pull this on around like that. Make sure that arm's all the way up in there. You guys see that? And you can take this nut there. Come on. There we go. And there it is, all right? And it's just gonna hang right here until next time we use it. And just repeat that. Swing it around there and mount it on. Put some SP 350 underneath the vices. I've had some people ask, well, how much does the skyhook weigh? Because you got to pick the skyhook up to mount it. I can't remember the exact number. It's either 23 or 24 pounds is what this thing weighs. A whole lot lighter than that vise or a 4-jaw chuck. It's very light. It's easy to install and easy to take off. Got ahead of myself because I was going to use this to mount the vise as well. We'll go ahead and get our vise trammed in here. This is a cool indicator that I've had for a while. The guys at Rotodial sent it to me a couple years ago. It's got a nice feature on it. There's a thumb screw on the back side here, and you can rotate it 360 degrees. So that's pretty handy. Get it where you guys maybe can see it. All right, which one we want? We want this one here. Oh, well, got to reset. All right, let's try it again. About a half a thou. Half a thou the wrong way, huh? One of those snugged up a little bit more. That sucker just does not want to trim. And that time it worked perfect. Let's snug these down. I think we got it there. Yeah, that's within a half a thou. We got that. We're gonna leave it right there where it's at. I had to reposition the sky hook because it wouldn't reach the center of the vise there where I got to set this down. Oh yeah, it's gonna work good. Gonna have to kind of find the sweet spot of where this needs to be clamped, just so that I got enough travel once we have our drill out there. Should have had a ratchet ready for this. So I'll just have to position this once I get my tooling here tomorrow. We get it set in there, because I'm only going to have this much distance of travel there, which you don't need that much to drill a hole. But I got to have enough that once we get our drill chuck in there and get our drill bit in there, that I can bring it up close enough to the casting here to be able to drill it and then have enough travel there. So right now we got the saddle, I'm sorry, is pulled all the way back there. So I think that's about it for now. We'll be back tomorrow to hopefully get this finished out. Guys, it is the next day, and I was supposed to be taking delivery of my socket extensions to go in this tool right here. I was going to show you all this set up once I got my extensions in here. I had put this in there just because I wanted to see how true it was running, and it's looking really good. But unfortunately, my parts are not going to be here today. I ordered them through KBC Tools. I paid for next day shipping, and I got an email today from FedEx saying that the package is not going to be delivered today, that it was delayed. So I emailed KBC and said, hey, this is what FedEx is saying, and I paid for next day shipping. So they looked into it, and in fact, FedEx didn't get my package delivered like they said they were going to, and KBC even offered to give me credit on the the shipping that I paid. So big thanks to them for stepping in there and trying to make that right. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to finish drilling and tapping the holes today because I want to wait for my parts to get here. So it's probably going to be the day after tomorrow before I can get back on this part. So what we're going to do is go ahead and work on this part right here. This is going to be the counter bore for the thrust bearing. So the spindle and the vise handle slides through right here, okay? The spindle for the vise handle, should I say. And there's a thrust bearing that goes on each side of this. And we don't have to bore this hole. This is already over what the print says. It's just a clearance hole for the screw. But there is a counter bore here for the bearing to go into. So what we'll do is we'll flip this around and we'll work on getting this counter bore done and get that finished. We'll kick that spindle on while I got that in there so you can see how nicely that truck's going to run. Now hopefully our extension sockets will run nice and true as well. We'll be able to bring that chuck out here to about this point. It should be a good position for us to be able to drill that. I'm going to use this end of the vise body with an edge finder. We'll find the center of it this way. We can also measure from the bottom up while we're at it there, because that's going to be the same position as on the opposite end. So I'm just going to take a measurement down here with a micrometer and see what we're measuring. That way I can just divide that in half. I'm going to call that 125, 35, 40. So 3 inches. 3 inches, 140 thousandths right here. All right, let's get her touched off with our edge finder. All right, there it is, kicked off. So we'll be at 1.820. I went ahead and flipped our vise body around. I'll indicate off that bottom edge where we measure from for that counter bore. So I've got a mirror set up there and the Noga clamp. That should help us so we can see that. That is the problem with doing work like this with the horizontal spindle. On the back side of a workpiece, it's hard to see that if you don't have the controls back there. So we'll go ahead and bring the table up a little bit more. Get past the edge finder. I think that'll work. Let's run it in. All right. Make sure you guys can still see that. I think y'all can see it too, so here we go. We'll lower the knee down to it. Kind of looked like it was kicked off already, but it's not. I think now it's kicked off. I'm still having to walk around here behind it to see it. Yeah, it's kicked off to the right side there. All right. I've got our Z dimension written here. This is on the print, so we have to add 0.25 that for the edge finder. All right, making sure that I'm clear. I don't want to smash my edge finder. Yeah, we're out. Want to make sure that I was clear from the edge finder. 2.553, that's what we're looking for. Just do it by hand there. What I'm going to do is go down, come back up to it. 2.553. There we go. All right, we just adjusted our Z depth, and I knew that by first glance that we weren't in the center of that hole right there. So I went back and looked at my drawing here. I got it on my phone, and I realized that we touched off on the wrong bottom surface there. So instead of touching off in the center right here, we need to be touching off of this step. And then once we do that, that should put us in the correct center line. So I'm going to redo what I just showed you, and I'll bring you guys back. All right, I readjusted our touch off there, and that is looking right. That looks like that's right in the middle of the casting there, or right in the middle of the hole, I mean. We should be ready to do our counterbore now. All right, well, I've got my box in from KBC Tools on the two extensions that I ordered. Also got a drill. So we've got our dynamic jaw still set up over there in the K&T mill, and we need to go and drill and tap our 2 holes. So that's where we're going to do it, over there. In order to get that done, there was some tools here that I needed to get. So I went ahead and got an extended link 27/64 drill. This is tab size for 1/2-13. I wanted to have this in case I could use it. So I've actually got 3 different links now that I can use depending on where we're at on our reach here when we go in to do the drilling right here. That might be a little bit too long, but we'll see. So these are the extensions that I ordered, extension socket. So it's a M4 to M4. We'll pull these guys out and show you guys what we're going to be doing there. So this is our 50 taper holder that goes into the spindle. This one holds a number 4 Morse taper, just like on that guy right there, our drill chuck. All right, so you can do some direct drilling with a drill chuck just like that, or you can extend it by using one of these guys right here. All right, so that looks pretty good. This is the KBC brand. It's supposed to be the hardened. They have a hard and a soft, so sometimes you can modify these. You can turn them down if you want to. I opted to go with the hardened version. So let me get a towel and get that oil wiped off and see how it fits. Now you can get these in different lengths. Collis actually builds these in 3 different lengths. They have a short, medium, and a long. But these are, I could get 2 of these from KBC, the KBC brand, cheaper than one of the Collis there. So I decided to just get 2 of these because you can stack them together, do a stack up. And since we're pushing against it, it's not going to pose any kind of problem. I wouldn't advise this kind of stuff if you're using milling tooling. At first glance, it seems to be pretty nicely ground. Check this fit. We know this holder is good and on size, so it fits good. It seems like it's got a beautiful fit, but what we'll do is we're going to stick 2 of them together like so to make our extension. This will go in there like so. All right, it's going to be something like that. And then we'll take our drill chuck and we'll put it in there like so. And I'm going to bump all these together. And then there is our reach. Let's see if I can get where you can see this a little bit better. All right, so it's going to be something like that right there. So we may end up having to use that longer drill. I'm not sure yet, but we can bring it up and we'll just have to see. It ain't gonna go much further than that right there. So I may end up having to use that longer drill to get it done. So anyway, there's the setup. So we'll go back over on the K&T, get the, we gotta get the jaw flipped around in the vise, get it indicated, and we'll start hopefully getting this guy drilled and tapped. Well, too bad so far. I don't know if the the OD should be turned or ground true with that ID. Maybe we'll stick an indicator on there and check it. But if it's out a little bit, there's nothing we can do about it. We're just going to run it. Oh, it went the wrong way, man. I don't look bad. I'd be curious to what the runout is. We might put an indicator on there and check just for fun. I don't know if we're going to be able to get up there and, oh, come on, man. I don't know if we'll be able to get in there with our edge finder all the way. Really needed one more of those extensions. I thought the math in my head added up right. Technically it did. We're going to be able to drill and tap that no problem. It's just, I didn't think about getting all the way up to the edge of the chuck there with the edge finder. But we'll get it figured out. I guess what I could do is just go ahead and we'll just take a measurement from this surface here up to the jaw using our height gauge, and then we'll just indicate, we'll edge find off the end of the jaw here, and we'll just have to add this measurement to what it is that we're supposed to be off of this ledge. That's the simplest way that I know to get that height there. There's an indicator check on our socket extension. I'm reading 2 thousandths run out right here. So that's actually better than I expected it to be. Pretty good, I think. Check it here also. That's about a 1/2 thousandths there. So this one's pretty good. So we got a little deviation somewhere along here, maybe on our Morse taper. You know, you got the two fitting together there. You got some kind of stack up error that's compounded as it gets further away from it. So just curious is all, but not bad at all. It's really hard to complain with that. I think these were Each one of these were less than $50 a piece. I think they were around 45 bucks or so. So not too bad. We'll check this one also, just for curiosity's sake. That's pretty good. That looks like a half a thousandths. So I would say that this extension is running really well, but somewhere between the inside Morse taper, this outside Morse taper, and on down here, you've got some kind of error and it's stacking up and it's getting a little worse as you get further away from it. So we had 2000s here. Maybe we'll check the edge finder and see what it's running out. All right, on the edge finder, 2.5 thou. All right, about what I expected there. Okay. Hopefully that satisfies everybody's curiosity of what our runout is on our big extension there. But I'm happy with the socket extensions. These are not very expensive to purchase. I believe they were less than $50 a piece, and just a good tool whenever you need it for an application just like this. So we're over here at our Milltronics CNC lathe, and got a previous video not too long ago of us installing this new TMX 6-jaw chuck. I want to remove this chuck and install the one that came on here factory, which is an 8-inch 3-jaw. This is a 10-inch 6-jaw right there. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this chuck. I love this chuck. I've been running one exactly like it on my Victor lathe for several years now, and it's always worked really well. The problem that I'm having over here, and it's a problem that I'm still trying to troubleshoot and understand and learn why I'm having these issues and what I can do to correct it. And that's the reason why we're doing this today. I'm having some chatter issues over here, which really surprises me for a brand new machine that I would think should have plenty of rigidity to cut a thread. So this is a part that I've been practicing on. I've made a couple of them just because I'm trying to get my program adjusted and so I can make a finished part and I know everything's on size. What I've been practicing is machining these swivel bolts that go to the hardtail vise. So I've been working on a program, drawing this up in Fusion and coming out here and testing it. And when it comes to the threading, it's wanting to chatter on me. Like I said, I don't know why it's wanting to chatter. To me, that's rigidity issues in the spindle here. But the other thing that I've learned is that this chuck is not rated for the max speed that this lathe will handle. I believe it's 4,000 RPM is what the Milltronics will spin up to. And the chuck that came on the machine is rated to spin at 4,000 RPM. This one is rated to spin at 2,400 RPM. That kind of limits you with some of your high-speed machining that you might want to do, especially if we want to cut some aluminum, small diameter aluminum parts or things like that. So because I'm continuing to test this out, we're going to remove this chuck. I'm going to put the other 3-jaw on, and I'm going to run these parts again, and I'm going to see if it makes any difference at all. If it does make a difference and I'm getting some better performance, then that's telling me that something's up. Maybe this chuck is too big. Maybe we were sticking too far out from the spindle nose because of the backing plate that's on there. I don't know. I just need to kind of figure out what's going on here and get this done. So we're going to get this up. Now, if I end up not putting this back on the Milltronics, that's not the end of the world for this new 6-jaw, because this will end up going on the Precision Matthews manual lathe. I just have to get the proper D16 backing plate to mount it up, which is no problem. TMX keep those in stock. So I want to get this swapped out. I'm going to use my skyhook cart, get it over here so that we can easily hold this thing when we remove it and swing it off here out of the way. We got the machine in e-stop mode. That's the kill switch when that's rotated back, so we have no worry of the machine or the spindle coming on. First thing we need to do is go ahead and loosen our adjusting screws there. These are the ones you use to adjust this true. Otherwise it won't slide off the adapter back here. Whenever you loosen it up, try to pull it off. All right, got all those loose. I'm going to go ahead and crack the 3 bolts loose. I just wanted to get them knocked loose here. There we go. Go ahead and get our truck hook installed. This will be our first time using our mobile sky hook here. Should work pretty good. Unfortunately, the Gorbel crane doesn't quite reach over here to where I need to pick this up. I re-greased all these after that install video. Everything spins like a dream now. I think that's going to work just fine. Moment of truth. Beautiful. Snug those locks up just so it doesn't move around. That worked beautifully. Lower it off of the outboard jacks there. I didn't use the extension all the way out. I know that they want you to, but this isn't heavy enough for a thing to be tipping over. Unlock the swivel casters. And we got to move the adapter plate here for the spindle nose. Thought I grabbed the right socket. What happened there? 8mm, not 9. We want to make sure our spindle nose is completely clean. No dust, chips on it. And then I'm going to I want to coat everything down with the SP 350. That'll keep everything lubed and any kind of rust from building up in there. What I was trying to say. Couldn't think of what I wanted to say there. Corrosion. It helps prevent corrosion. Corrosion inhibitor. I've got the new, not the new, but the backing plate here. Put a little bit on that too. Got our alignment pin down there. Should go on just like that. We'll give this guy a coating as well. Just helps that rust from trying to build up on the back side there and the mating surfaces. Over time, coolant stuff gets in there and sometimes it'll start building up rust. You ever move the vise off the mill table after it's been there for a while, you know what I mean. All right, we'll get our little chuck out and get it mounted on next. All right, we got the back of our chuck cleaned, sprayed with our SP 350. This one is not near as heavy as that 6 jaw, so I'm gonna use the back muscles this time. Get one of them bolts started like that right there, we're good to go. It just mounts on that register there. Stay up there. All right, there it is, it's mounted. What I plan to do is we'll put a pin or something in there and I'll indicate it. I didn't measure the clearance on the registered fit on the back. I would imagine it's within a couple of thousandths, but you may have enough room with those bolts a little bit not torqued down that you might be able to bump this with a soft blow, kind of manipulate it just a thou or two on that register. If it's out, I'll check it and see what it's running. It may be a thousandths right where it's at. Well, I was proven wrong. It's got more runout than I expected right there. Let's see. There's your low. Looks like about 8, maybe 9. About 9 thou. So we've got these 3 mounting bolts, not tight, but tight enough that it won't move around. So we should be able to bump it. Let me see. Ooh. 1, 2, about 2.5. Go back to our high. All right, that's about 1. And it went the wrong way. There's a 1/2 thou right there. I wonder if it'll stay there. Let's see if we can snug this guy up and it stay where it needs to be. Oh yeah, man. Very little movement right there. So I'm going to re-snug those one more time just to make sure that they are tight. And then we'll check our repeatability. Unchuck it, chuck it back up, and see if we get any repeatability. I did use most all your chucks. If you look on one of these spindles here, there's going to be usually a 0 stamped on it, and that's the one that what I have been told is that at the factory, whenever they manufacture these and grind them, they'll use one of these pinions stamped 0, and that's the one they tighten up when they do their finished grinding. So I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but that's what I've been told. All right, so we've got less than about a 1/2 thou right there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to simply bump it loose That is a gauge pin, by the way. So it's nice and round and should be on size. Look at that. Right back where it was at. So that tells me that this is a good quality chuck. This is a Bison 8-inch, and it's got good repeatability when you loosen it up and you put your part in there, which is important if you've got a bunch of parts that you want to chuck up on a finished journal and then do a second op. You want them to be running true. So that's good right there. All right, well, mission completed. I'm going to do some more testing over here on our Milltronics. Maybe cut a couple more of these as practice sessions and see if I get any better results with our threading there anyway. I don't know if this is going to make a difference or not, but we're going to try it, and I'll let you guys know. We are going to have a video of machining this guy right there. Once I get my program ready, we'll use a good quality piece of 4140 steel, machine it, and then we'll go to the mill and we're going to mill a hex on there instead of having that slot. We'll actually machine a hex so that we can tighten it up. But that's going to be another video. Hopefully pretty soon we'll get to that. So some of you guys have been noticing the trike in the background of the shop here in a few of the videos. I've been getting a lot of comments out there asking, hey, what's up with that Honda I see in the background? How come you're not going to tell us about that? I thought that this would be a good opportunity to go ahead and show you guys this and talk about what it is, why I have it, you know, and what I plan to do with it, honestly. So what you have right here, this is a 1986 Honda ATC 250R. The 250R designates two-stroke. So that is the 250cc two-stroke engine, the same engine that they used on the Honda CR250 dirt bikes over the years. And this is something that I always dreamed of having. Growing up as a young kid and a teenager, I rode dirt bikes. I started when I was 8 years old. My dad bought us, it was an 88 Honda Z50R, the little Honda Z50s. That was the best Christmas, I swear, that we ever had, because we didn't expect it, we didn't ask for it, we didn't know we were getting one, and Santa Claus brought a Honda 50R, should I say. That's what started the dirt bike craze right there growing up. And as I got older into my early teen years, I was able to kind of move on and purchase cheap, inexpensive dirt bikes that I had to kind of fix myself. And so I rode dirt bikes for a long time, really enjoyed them. The only new bike I ever had was a 97 RM250. Loved that bike. I used to always trail ride with that. I didn't really go to the track or anything. I like trail riding. That's what I always enjoyed. But over time, I kind of lost interest in the two wheels and things like this. I got into hot rods. I had bought a Chevelle. I had a 72 Chevelle, worked on that for a while, enjoyed it, ended up selling it. Later on, it ended up getting the 79 Malibu, built that car, really enjoyed that. And it was after that period that I ended up transforming my home shop into a machine shop of what you guys are familiar with now. And I sold the Malibu. I never really got back into bikes whatsoever, with the exception of the little Honda Monkey that I bought a few years ago. That's just to take to the state parks and things like that to have some fun on. Growing up, riding, always loved these Honda 250Rs, these ATCs, three-wheelers. And I never had means to buy one, you know. It just never worked out. So all these years later, I've seen them over the years, you know. When I see one in person, which is very rare, I always come up to it and I'm like, man, how cool is this thing? It's just so rad. So the interest finally peaked to where I was ready to find one. And back at the beginning of the year, I think it was January, February, I put a feeler out on Instagram and posted some pictures. And I said, hey, if you guys see one of these for sale, marketplace or whatever, let me know, because I'd like to find one. One of my followers out there, Eric, he's got an Instagram and a YouTube channel called Trick Machine Shop. Real cool guy. He and his son and his dad have a side gig, a side hobby, where they purchase vintage dirt bikes and three-wheelers, ATCs. They fix them up, get them running, and they sell them, flip them. And I believe that's sort of what feeds their hobby. They make a little money and they just keep putting it back into that hobby. Well, when I put that feeler out, Eric had messaged me on Instagram and said, hey, I recently picked up an original owner ATC 250R, and if you're interested in it, I'll hold it for you, give you a good deal on it. So we talked about it for a bit. I think he made me a very fair deal for what these things sell for now, which is absolutely ridiculous. Everything has just gotten out of sight. Finding the inexpensive projects nowadays are just non-existent. But anyway, Eric gave me a good deal on this. He's out in Parker, Arizona, by the way. And he held on to it for a few months because I was in no rush to get it. And then he eventually, him and the son, they took it apart. They just cleaned it real well. I know he took the carburetor apart, cleaned it, put everything back together, fired it up, ran it. He sent me some videos of it running. He took it down the street and back. And I was like, yep, I definitely want it. So we made a deal and paid him for it. I used U-Ship. It was the first time I've ever used U-Ship, and worked out great. Had a guy that delivers motorcycles. He's got a big enclosed trailer. And he gave me a bid. I accepted it. He went and picked it up. It was here in 2 days. Dropped it off right here in front of the door. And here it is. There she is. There's the new ATC.
Just play in the mud with it?
Yeah, we're probably going to take it out and find some mud eventually for it around here after we play with it for a bit. That is cool. It even came with a couple of pair of paddle tires there with it as well. If you guys are not familiar with the two-stroke or the 250R, Honda made a 200X. I believe they had a 250X. I can't remember now. They definitely had a 350X, but the X models usually indicate four-stroke air-cooled. The R's usually indicate the two strokes, okay? So if you ever see one of these, it says 250R, you're looking at the two-stroke version, not the four-stroke. Think of it as race version, super fast. So anyway, we got it, and I have cranked this thing up. I've only cranked it up one time out here. I put just a little bit of fuel in there, cranked it up, and rode it around the parking lot about 3 or 4 times. This thing is fast. It's been many years since I've been on a two-stroke 250, and when I was coming down the driveway, I just kind of hit the throttle a couple times very lightly, and it was spinning the tires, and I could feel that front end coming up. I'm a little bit big for this kind of stuff. I'll admit it's a little bit small for me, and it's actually been so long since I've seen one of these in person. When I got it, it feels like it's smaller than what it should have been. I think because when you're a kid, everything looks big. So it is a little bit smaller, but what I would like to do, this is a personal project for me. Maybe we can do some stuff on the channel to kind of incorporate it with the videos here. Some of you guys, like this stuff, but it really doesn't need a lot, but it does need a few things. And I've been collecting a few parts for it here and there, and I plan on working on it and getting this thing looking even better than it does. I want to rebuild the suspension on it and get it sprung for somebody big like me. So we need to update the suspension, replace the tires. Now, the only thing that's not original on this is the fenders. You got the front fender and the rear fender. Those have been replaced. Everything else on it is stock, factory stock. Eric told me a little bit of the backstory on this ATC. Apparently, it was a gentleman out there in Arizona that bought this brand new in '86, and it was his pride and joy. He probably went out riding the dunes and that kind of stuff with it. And so what Eric told me was that it was at one point a buddy of his begged him to let him ride it, so he let him ride it. The buddy went out, rolled it, bent the handlebars. There's actually a bend in here. Bent the handlebars, tore up the fenders. The guy replaced it, put it away, never let anybody ride it again. And eventually this man passed away. And it ended up going to his daughter. So his daughter had it, and that's when Eric found it and purchased it from the man's daughter. So I'm technically the third owner of this, but it's actually only been owned and ridden by one person, which I think that's pretty cool. It's got the original gold rims on it. And it even came, I've got them up there above the office. It came with the factory gold rims with the paddle tires on there as well. So I know the guy took this thing out to the dunes and rode it out there. So I've got those put up there. So it needs a few things. I want to replace the handlebars, the grips, do the suspension, the tires, the plastics. I want to redo those, the decals, get those fixed up again. And you know, some of the running, the chain, just things like that needs to be fixed up. So this is going to be a personal project, and I hope that we, you know, my wife and I, we have some property that we bought. We're hoping to pretty soon start developing that to make it our homestead, where our home and our shop is going to be. And I think this will be a lot of fun having out there on that property and be able to ride it. I've got 10 acres, so I plan on making like a trail through the woods that we can ride this, four-wheelers, dirt bikes, whatever, through there. And my dream, always having one as a kid, it's finally coming true. And I think I got a good foundation here for a 250R that I can fix up. So that's kind of the story behind the trike that's been sitting in here. I'll get the camera, pull you in, we'll walk around it so you can see this up a little bit closer, because it really is a good, very good condition Honda. It's never been tampered with. Eric says that that engine has never been broken apart. So it's all original and it's in really good running condition. All right, so here's a little close up of what we got going on here. I got to do some work here with the fuel lines. I think Eric had put this on here, but it's not holding very well. It's dripping, so I had to drain the fuel out of it anyway. So this is some minor mechanical work that needs to be done right there. Maybe we can build some parts for this thing in the future, you know, like a chain guard there, maybe some of these guys, I don't know. Come up with something that we can machine for this thing to make it sort of custom, you know. So the 85 and the 86 look identical. What you'll find difference is the 86 actually says ATC on the seat cover there. So this is an original seat cover. And then the 85 has 250R here instead of ATC. So it's just very subtle differences between the years. Still got the factory toolbox on there. No tools or paperwork inside. You can see the iconic gold color ProLink suspension swing arm and the wheels. This is a iconic color for the late 80s, you know, 86, 7, 8. Honda did the gold wheels. Our little Z50 looked just like it. It had the gold wheels on it as well. Decals are much better on this side, so I do have these that they're going to be replaced. I've got the radiator shrouds. I don't have the fenders yet, but I plan on replacing these guys. I've got a new seat cover. We're going to do this. We're going to see about learning how to polish the plastic, because they usually restore these guys, so I need to learn how to do that. So that'll be something we need to figure out how to do. But you can see this is all original up here. Right there, you can see the handlebar got bent. Probably original grips on there. That's right, the front brake doesn't work. I went ahead and found one of these master cylinders right here, just so that I'd have one. We might be able to take this apart and actually fix it and get it working, but we need to get that worked on. You can see just how clean the engine is. Original exhaust. We got some new boots already. You can see these are original, they're torn. So I want to get the all the suspension rebuilt, and we'll replace these guys when we do it. We'll respring, rebuild the rear suspension as well. Get some new tires on it. Maybe replace this plastic here too. I don't know yet. We'll see. Replace the stuff like that. So I don't want to do a full restoration on the thing. I just want to get it looking like a fresh bike again and then go have some fun on it, you know? That's the plan anyway. So there you go. The 86 Honda ATC 250R. Personal project for me. I have no idea when I'm actually going to get to working on this, but definitely let me know if you guys have any interest in seeing some of this on the channel. I do think it would be cool to maybe machine some custom parts for it. That's definitely channel related. We can show some of that, but I'm not in a hurry to get to it right now. I might even take it and pick it up and put it right up there just to kind of get it out of the shop floor. But I wanted to kind of give you guys a little rundown of what this was and why I have it here and why I bought it. So hopefully it's just going to be a fun project in the future that we're going to get to. Hopefully not too far away, because I'm excited about getting on it and riding it again. But there you go, the Honda ATC 250R.